I'm Geoff Nemnich.
And I'm Rick Paillet.
And we're the hosts of The Last Stand. Coyote hunting is my passion.
And coyote calls are my livelihood.
And together we aim to bring you the best predator hunting tips, tricks, and tactics, right down to The Last Stand.
The Last Stand, presented by Lucky Duck Predator Calls. We are the masters of deception. Daniel Defense, manufacturing freedom. Swagger Bipods, shoot with confidence, shoot with swagger. Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable.
So our final morning in Kansas, once again, we meet up with somebody new, a good buddy Jan. We've hunted with him. I've had the chance to hunt with him every year I've been out here. Just a great guy. We meet Jan over at his house. We pick him up. We head to the first stand of the morning, which is one that we've made, every time I've been out here. And I think probably 4 out of the 5 times we've made it, we've called in and killed a coyote there. So third morning in Kansas, last morning, we only have about a half a day to hunt. We've met up with our good buddy Jan. It's always fun coming down here. Every time I've been down here to hunt with Rick, we've met up with Jan. It's always been great. We're walking into this stand. We've made this stand every time. We've killed coyotes on probably 75% of the time we've made it first thing in the morning. Luckily for us this year, it's broken dirt ground. Last year there was some milo in here. We just couldn't see the coyotes coming to the call, but it should be really good now. We parked off the highway. We're making about a 600-800 yard walk into the stand. We're gonna be looking down over some broke ground, dirt fields. We're calling down into a big bottom, just a real big transition area. So hopefully we can get set up without these coyotes knowing we're there. And it's about as close to a guarantee as a coyote hunter could ever want. We walk in, just as we expected. The wind's light and variable, 6-8 miles an hour. It's cold, got down to low 20s that night. Everything's crisp. Got a little dusting of snow the night before. So we have 3 shooters, so the wind's kind of going from right to left on this stand. So Rick's gonna stay up here with the call. Him and Jan will be able to cover all this. I'm gonna slip around the side here about 75 yards, just in case a coyote comes out of this bottom down here and tries to go for wind. I can get that coyote killed, but they'll be able to cover everything else, so I'll sneak down there. So we get down in there. I like to go on the downwind side with Max. The main camera and Rick and Jan stay up kind of off a point where they can really see anything coming off this cut, bean field. And as I'm sitting there waiting for Rick to get the call set up and get the camera set up, we noticed 2 coyotes kind of trotting out there about 450 yards, and they weren't spooked. They weren't looking at us all, but they were just naturally kind of going that way. Start the call, Rick, they're leaving. And the call doesn't get fired up for a couple minutes, and those 2 coyotes kind of venture over the hill. I'm all set up, ready to go. Rick's still getting set up down there. He hasn't started the call yet, but 2 coyotes were kind of working their way out in that flat out there about 450 yards. They weren't looking at us. I think they're just on the move. I don't know if we'll call them back in. The bad part is the wind's blowing just like that, so if they do try to come in, they're probably going to be already clear down on the downwind side. It'll be tough to get those coyotes killed, so hopefully there's still a coyote or 2 in this big bottom out in front of us. And just about the time Rick fires up the call, a 3rd coyote comes out of that same bottom and starts heading in that same direction, but it gets, maybe 50 yards up the hill, and then it hears the call and it turns and looks, and it's always cool to see this. The coyote kind of stopped and looked at us and kind of evaluated it for a second, it seems like, and then here he came. All right, this one's coming. He's about 450. He was following those other 2, but he's turned. He's coming into the call now. He's not running hard. He's just kind of on a good trot. Probably take him a couple minutes to get here. Don't get tunnel vision here, though. A lot of people get early on a stand. If you spot a coyote out there that far, people kind of get tunnel vision on him. You could have another coyote come running in that's even closer. Yeah, this coyote's definitely coming to the call. He wasn't on a dead run, but he was on a good trot. I knew it was going to take him maybe 2 minutes to get to us, and he disappears behind some trees, and there he is, pops out at 125 yards. All right, he's making a beeline right for the call here. I'm gonna kill him now. He sees us.
right, there, ready? All right, here we go. That's where a little patience pays off. I probably should have killed him when he stopped there at 100. Most guys would have. Working the cameras, we're trying to get the best footage for you guys, but you know, he checked up a little bit, saw something he didn't like. He never really looked at us. He was looking over towards Rick. Then he turned and kind of went. You know, coyote like that, you know they're gonna stop. Just be patient. He stopped down there about 160, 170 yards. Looks like it got him right behind the shoulder. He spun and ran just a little bit, but he piled up right in that tree.
But I felt like it was a good shot. The coyote kind of spun real quick and then took off running down into the trees. You know, we had the first coyote of the morning. So when I walk down here, a lot of times where the coyote was, I always try to get a coyote's perspective of our stand. And you know, that coyote, he was coming in pretty good, and he checked up and he looked, and then he kind of started flaring off. And so you get down here to where that coyote is, and you look back, and you can kind of see just the way those guys were on that corner of that point right there. I think that coyote just had one of them skylined. And when you get skylined like that, even if you're not moving, it's just enough that that coyote thinks, you know, that's not right. And that's what I think spooked that coyote off. But nonetheless, a little short tracking job up here, we should have him. Had to bring the old hound dog down in here to sniff out my coyote. Big coyote. Just hit him, it destroyed. He ran probably 75 yards, but the problem was he was only about 40 yards from the thick stuff. He's a big dog, big black sucker.
Looks like the one that picked it. Did you tell him when we were leading the way with Jan, and coyote standing right up here just glaring at us, and he peeled out down here.
Well, that ain't even the half the story. When we sat down, there was two of them leaving, just trotting up there, going, and you hadn't fired up the call, and they just kept going. And then hear this one come out of there, following them, and then that's about the time you turn the call, and he turned around and run right down through the corner and come right up.
Whoa.
So there were two.
So that's a different coyote.
If you would have, there was 3 coyotes in there.
That is weird, ain't it?
That's
Grandpa
how,
Ricky would have got the call fired up sooner. I might have got a triple.
Now that makes sense of why we thought that one covered way too much ground.
Yeah.
So there was one we saw come out.
Off to the right over here?
Yeah, he
Oh.
was glaring right up
We saw him starting to run this way, and then all of a sudden we heard one.
You weren't even looking at mine over here.
No,
And we were like, whoa, how did that coyote cover that much ground that
I was gonna say, I was like, this.
Well, this one saw you guys from his angle coming out. He had you guys skylined on the corner. He was coming right after the call, and he checked up and he looked over at you guys and did this kind of thing, and then he took off running back down to the trees, and he stopped.
We were getting set up on one.
Yeah.
Coming, just streamlining. Well, we're hunting with Jan this morning. First stand, Geoff got one knocked down. I don't know how good a footage they got, but we got a little creek right here in front of us. Winds from right to left. Called bobcats in here before. Plenty of coyotes. I'm gonna start out with some lip squeaks, real low volume. I'll wait a couple minutes and then go to a rabbit. Still low volume. About the 5-minute mark, I'll probably start bringing the volume up a little. It's pretty calm. We've been using the Revolt yesterday for sure when it was windy. Probably break the riot out here in a little while.
As we were walking into the stand, we busted out a bunch of turkeys, and these turkeys all take off flying, and about half of them fly 200-300 yards out into the area we're hoping the coyotes are going to come from, and they land up in a big tree.
I was a little bit disgruntled about that. I played baby cottontail, and just for 2 or 3 minutes pretty soft, and then I went to shoulder belt, and them turkeys that lit off in them trees busted out of there, and I was pretty sure that what a coyote or a bobcat was creeping through over there and bumped them turkeys out of there. And sure enough, it probably wasn't 20 seconds later, here comes this coyote. Woo! Woo! Right, anyway.
We actually had a better vantage point than they did. We saw this coyote come out. I don't think they saw that coyote till he was halfway across that snow. They got him to stop perfect out there about 60, 70 yards. I don't know if Rick got the shot or Jan. Looks like they got him low in the chest. He made it about 75 yards back to the trees. Probably didn't need to shoot at him, but you just never know. I didn't get another bullet in him before he jumped over there into the brush. Looks like we're gonna have another tracking job on our hands due to mediocre shooting.
I don't know. Must have pulled it a little bit or something. I don't know. No comments. Go look for him. I ain't got any more bullets. I'm a little disappointed with my shot. I thought I center punched him, but it went through kind of off to one side in the shoulder and didn't, you know, with a rifle at 40 yards or 50, whatever he was, you want to see him center punch. Usually they just tip over backwards right there, but I was a little bit disgusted with my shot. But in fact, I thought I just wrecked that one shoulder. I thought he would get away, and I was happy we got him, and it was a good video as far as him coming in, but my shot, you know, was a little suspect.
So we're rolling now. We're 2 for 2. We get into that third stand. You know, kind of a scattered cedars on kind of a hill. We got a big dam and a pond off to our side. We're thinking this is pretty tight cover. We might get a coyote killed right at the call, because obviously that's our ultimate goal.
All right, this is stand number 3. We usually sit behind us in a prairie hay field and set in a bunch of bales, but there ain't no bales out there, so we've had to get in this thick stuff. Pretty tight quarters right here. I don't know. Wishing we had a shotgun for sure. So we'll see how it all unfolds. Turn on shoulder belt again. For some reason I was scanning everywhere instead of where I was supposed to be. And I seen a coyote tearing through them cedars to our right. Right, the right. I don't know, I just seen him in them evergreen. There he comes. Oh, no move. I moved the gun and got situated, and sure enough, he popped out in them right below them cedars, and I thought he was gonna come clear to the call, but he went through this little slough, and I thought he was sniffing on something, or he was walking funny down there, and I don't know if he picked something out of us or what happened, but he turned, and I mean, he got out of there, and Jan put a nice shot on him, quartering away, and I finished him up. Number 14, I believe. Shoulder belt again. Hard to beat shoulder belt. Comes standard on every lucky duck electronic call. Good shot, Jan. That was going downhill. Jeff's down there snagging up Jan's coyote and said that slough grass is all thin ice, and the coyote, he sees the tracks where it fell through that ice into the water. So I thought he was sniffing something, but he must have been, you know, falling through the ice, and then he turned around. I don't know, he's seen us up here, so that's how that went.
Nonetheless, it was the same result. Yeah, 3 stands, 3 coyotes. So we have time to make one final stand before Jan has to head out. So we go to his last little honey hole he has saved up for us. We get in, we didn't know what the crop situation was gonna be. Where we originally wanted to sit, the milo was still standing. So we decided to loop around and get the wind right and come in and sit on this tree line, which gave us a little bit better vantage point as far as us sitting in the shade and the coyotes coming to the call, would be looking back into the sun. We had a plowed bean field that we set the call out in. And the funny thing was, Sean, the camera guy, he's actually just doing a quick pan of the stand. The call hadn't been running 30 seconds. And as he's panning, here comes the coyote right over the hill.
Nice. Bird's kind of dark. Huh? Yeah, I'm going. He didn't quite get to the call, and I was tracking him in the scope, and what cracked me up was that I saw the expression on his face that he knew he had been had. When he smelled that call, or me walking out there setting it out there, he had that, oh, he knew he was in trouble. And
once again, you know, we should have stopped this coyote 5 different times and killed him, but we're always pushing that envelope, seeing how close we can get those coyotes to the call. And that coyote got probably 5 yards downwind of the call, and he whipped around, and Rick was quick on the trigger. He got a bullet in him, and I put a bullet in him, and I think Rick put a 3rd bullet in him, and he was laying dead there maybe 40 yards from the call, maybe no more than 60, 70 yards out in front of us.
Yep, I was like, well, he can't get out of here. Let's see if he hits the call. Because I know Geoff can definitely spank him running, so yeah.
A little sniff of it.
I was following him through the scope, and I seen on his face like, oh no. He knew he was screwed.
You know, the hunting's been fantastic this morning, so we decided let's go make one last stand before we have to head out for the trip. And Rick says, I have just the spot. So we get up into this stand, looks great, lots of cover, lots of CRP grass, lots of cedar trees. We get set up, we're tucked into a nice position. We got shadows of the cedar trees, we're tucked right into the fence line. Got the call out in front. The wind's not ideal, but it's blowing more of a crosswind than it is out into the calling area, so we feel we can make it work.
Well, this might be the last stand. Not the last stand of the evening, but the last stand of the episode of The Last Stand. Whatever that meant, I don't know. Anyway, kind of a new spot for me. I don't know a lot about it. Never called here, but it really looks good. And I only live a mile from here. If you could imagine never being here. Kind of hard to believe, ain't it, Geoff?
Rick fires up the call, and it's not just 30 seconds in and the coyote pops up. Well, Rick bumps his remote, and the call shuts off somehow.
Dang it. Well, just a second, I screwed up here. Hold on.
The coyote's standing out there looking, wondering, you know, why'd the sound stop? And he's probably 250 yards, and I start lip squeaking, thinking he might be able to hear it. Maybe it holds his attention while Rick's getting the call fired back up.
Hold on, I think I got it now. Hold on.
Well, needless to say, the coyote stands there and looks around. Well, Rick gets the call fired back up. He puts on a baby cottontail demise, and here comes the coyote.
Yep, he bought it. Well, He's looking for a reason not to. I'm gonna swing over here in a second.
And at this point, it's just a waiting game. It's just being patient and seeing how close we can get this coyote. As the coyote approaches, he disappears down in this dip. And at that point, we really don't know, is the coyote gonna come and pop up straight at the call? Is he gonna circle downwind? So Rick and I got situated. As soon as that coyote disappeared, we moved our guns. Rick was right at the call. I was pointed downwind of the call, so whenever that coyote popped up, we'd have every angle covered. And luckily for me, the coyote circled just a little farther downwind. I had to wait for it to clear a tree so we could get a good video of the coyote, but it kind of checked up chest on about 80, 90 yards. I sent a 53 grain VMAX right through its sternum. Coyote flopped about twice, and we had our 17th coyote of the trip.
Coyote wasn't quite convinced. The wind's actually pretty close. I mean, he's within probably 50 yards, maybe less than that, 20 yards of getting our wind. Come right up there about 75 yards.
Yeah, I had a little malfunction. Somehow I shut the call off. Geoff Lipsweek kept him attention, and then I got the call back going again. I was about ready to pull out an old Tweety. I think we messed around up here on the hill enough that he went downwind. Geoff got him whacked. It was pretty good last stand, I would say.
I like going to the sand hills. I like going to TRs in the eastern plains of Colorado. I like anywhere, all kind of coyote calling. But my favorite is around home.